Ganella, please read the open public meeting statement.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings adopted at the organizational meeting held January 5th, 2022. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Kenilworth Board of Education has been provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the local source on June 20th, 2022. The meeting location has been changed via notice on May 5th, 2022. A copy has been filed with the Kenilworth Borough Clerk, posted in the board office, Kenilworth Borough Hall, Brearley and Harding Schools, as is provided by the Open Public Meetings Act. Could I just make a quick, technical, we are having technical difficulties this evening, therefore we were unable to live stream this evening's video. It will be, however, posted onto our YouTube page once the video has been rendered. Okay, that's it.
Can we all rise, please, to salute the flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Ganella.
Biner.
Here.
David. Drogan. Habather.
Here.
Jankowitz.
Here.
Ladati.
Here.
Panici. Tiers.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a motion to accept the minutes of the secretary for the June 13th and June 20th meetings?
So move.
Okay, second? Okay, motion by Ladati, second by Jankowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you have reading and acceptance of monthly correspondence, Mr. Ganella.
Yeah, we have two items this evening. We have two thank you notes from recipients of the Horace Heyman Scholarship, Amanda Jankowitz and Joseph Matos, who received the scholarships earlier this school year.
Okay, thank you. The motion to accept the correspondence is read.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Ladati and Haberther, thank you. All right, moving on to the superintendent's report and presentations. Mr.
Thank you.
Arlington.
Thank you, thank you. In the lull of summer here, I'll just be focusing on HIB tonight. So a couple things HIB related. The first is the monthly report for June, which you should have in your supplementary packet. There were 4 cases at Brearley. All 4 were founded. The first is a standalone case, and the remaining 3 are all tied essentially to the same issue, about which you are already aware. Happy to get questions on those 4 though.
Do you have any questions?
Keep going.
No? Thank you, and that's all for your report?
Just that later in the meeting you'll be voting on the May report, that is number 19. Also, Mr. Jankowitz will share details and subsequent next steps around an HIB hearing that a subcommittee of the board heard last week. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our reports of committees, starting with the finance and facilities, Mr. Ladati.
Okay, this time of year there's a lot of activities going on in the buildings as we prep for the upcoming school year. Most of the projects are being completed in-house thanks to Mr. Ganella and Kyle and the team. It does save us a lot of money from going out to get vendors to do those projects. So some of them are transforming the Brearley IMC to the TMZ or the Technical Media Center, renovating the Harding all-purpose room, adding the MIDI lab, digital music to the Brearley instrumental music room, installing approximately 40 Prometheum boards in classrooms. I think I said that right. Realigning multiple office spaces to accommodate the administrative and instructional coach structure. The energy savings program is moving along. The Harding boiler is almost completed. There have been some logistic issues with the Brearley's chiller, which Mr. Ganella and the team are actually working through with the contractor. Harding school stage is scheduled to be replaced later this month. And Vince and the staff are getting ready for the annual audit. As for resolutions, 1 through 4, the standard fare, there were no line item transfers over $5,000 that crossed lines. I reviewed the financial reports and the billing, and they all appear to be in order. Fiber travel and workshops, I think there was a decent amount this time. I think there was 40 in total. I don't know if any questions on that, but we'll do that later. 6, 7, and 8 are just contracting work orders. Payments for number 8 is for replacing brittle wiring and additional wiring. 8 is tuition reimbursement to all 2-9 staff members, and 9 is cost for an out-of-school district summer transportation. And that's all, nothing on negotiation, so I always throw that in. And that's all I have. Do we do policy at the end, or do you
You
want
can
me
do
to go over
policy, you can do your
now?
policies during your committee reports, yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I have to read all these, but the first one is P7410 and R7410. Basically, that's really simple. It's just reallocating administrative codes from one section to another. It's from NJAC 6A:26A to NJAC 6A:26. There was no substantive revisions to that. The next one has to do with emergency. It's P8420. Has been updated to include new language in NJSA 18:41-7A regarding school security drills. This law requires a school district to ensure school security drill that occurs when students are present does not expose students to content or imaging that is not developmentally age appropriate. The law also provides a school district may permit emergency personnel access to the buildings and grounds of the school for security drills that are scheduled outside school hours during such times when students are not present. A school district shall now review and update its school security drill procedures using a process that coincides with a review of the school safety and security plan developed pursuant to NJAC 6A:16-5.1, and shall also collect input from emergency personnel, parents, teachers, staff members, mental health professionals, student government representatives from multiple grades. The law also requires a school district to annually track data on such measures and information as required by the Commissioner of Education, and also report that data to the Commissioner. And that's that.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ladati regarding his finance report or any of the resolutions under finance and facilities? Seeing none, we move on to the next committee report, personnel.
Thank you. There's 9 resolutions tonight. Resolution 10 accepts the resignation of a Harding School elementary teacher. Resolution 11 is the hiring of a middle school science teacher. Resolution 12 is hiring building and grounds summer support staff. Resolution 13 approves central office staffing, moving somebody into the APAR clerk position effective November 1st. Resolutions 14 through 17 are the payment of unused vacation days. And Resolution 18 is the approval of fall tuition reimbursement for Mr. Arlington. And that is it.
Okay, does anyone have any questions of Mr. Hayberger regarding his resolutions?
Just the committee report, the policies for personnel.
Is there one?
Yes, there are
Just
two
an
for personnel,
abolishment of
3161 and
Oh.
4161.
Sorry about that. Resolution 22 is the abolishment of the following bylaws, policies, and regulations as needed under code law. Safety plan, P1648.14 is a safety plan for healthcare settings and school buildings. P2432, school-sponsored public. P2432 and R2432 are school-sponsored publications. And that is it.
Okay, that's
Yeah, so,
3161 and
yeah.
4161.
Yeah. Also under personnel, I'll just add was examination for cause. There are just some slight tweaks to the policy for when I or my designee require a physical or psychiatric exam of a school district employee. So some slight revisions. If the board approves that tonight, it'll be adopted and then in play come tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and we have no questions from Mr. Hayberger, so on to curriculum and instruction.
Sure, we have one resolution and one potential resolution, I guess. Resolution 19 is acceptance of the HIB report from May 2022. And then the next potential one is what Mr. Arlington mentioned before. There was a subcommittee that met on July 7th with the parents of a student with the HIB appeal discussion. It's the subcommittee's recommendation to uphold the superintendent's determination and affirm the HIB incident. If there are any questions or if you would like to discuss, then we'll have to go into closed session. If not, then we can vote on the resolution right now. Any questions or?
Anyone have any questions that would require closed session for discussion?
Okay. Then that'll be resolution 23.
And then the curriculum and instruction policies, Mr. Temple? There are several under 20, under 21.
Oh, right. So, policies to adopt, again, numerous policies. I don't know if I need to run through each one. Some samples, related to student intervention and referral services is one. Examination for cause, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I think there's a couple under maintenance and repair as well, finance and facilities.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll just add that
yeah, they're all mixed together. So yeah, there's just a handful.
The most significant changes to the HIB law, which requires several significant amendments for which we had some legal training last spring, mostly around students who repeatedly engage in acts of HIB and how to create sort of plans for them to for less recidivism moving forward. But the other ones are pretty pro forma. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions of Mr. Jankowicz for curriculum instruction?
Nope.
Okay. And then just following up with the policy review, we also had a few listed under the steering committee, some for first reading. P0143.2, high school student representative to the Board of Education. P1511, the Board of Education website accessibility. P1648.15, record keeping for healthcare settings in school buildings related to COVID-19. That's all three of those are listed as mandated. This is the first reading for those policies. And then we have the following up for revisions and adoptions under the steering committee of P9320, cooperation with law enforcement agencies, and R9320, also cooperation with law enforcement agencies, both of those mandated policies. And then last but not least, abolishing policy P1648.14, safety plan for healthcare settings in school buildings, is COVID-19 related mandated steering committee policy. All right, any questions about any of those? Good? Okay.
Good.
Moving on to old business. Does anyone have anything to discuss or bring up under old business? No? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Any board member have anything to bring up regarding new business for the board?
I just have a question on the policy reading. Do they have to be read in its entirety to the board in public? Is that?
No. That's just
Okay, I just thought maybe in order to get it in or voted on it has to be read to the public or anything. Okay, then we could do the kind of Reader's Digest version on.
It might make sense too when there's a lot. There's not usually this many.
Right.
When there are, maybe we just like lift one or two out for conversation.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if by law you had to kind of actually, when it says read, first reading, that it has to be read.
Yeah, I think also
Right.
if there's some substantive changes, maybe then you
Okay,
can.
no, that makes it easier, right?
Couple of them
So-
are just, changing this code from that code. And it's like, so if it's has some impact on us, then you
Okay,
might
no,
want to bring
that's
it.
wonderful,
And I
great.
think we provide you, I think we provide the information ahead of time so you can take a look at what.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe it had to be read legally.
No, not at all.
In a formal sense.
Nope.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
I just have one quick thing. Just want to say thank you to all that participated or involved in the graduation ceremonies. I think it went extremely well. No issues, right? No, everything worked, which was great. Went off without a hitch. So thank you to the teachers and the faculty that planned and participated. It was great. So thank you.
Oh, and something actually mentioning graduation reminds me of something. We talked briefly about that night. I do think that as a board, we need to look at what our policy is, because we do have a policy regarding board members presenting diplomas to graduates. And we did have a couple of staff members that night present the diplomas to their children, which is fine. But along the line, in the shuffle, there were many staff members who were overlooked and were not given that option. So if we are going to continue forward with doing that, in order to comply with our own policy that we did create a number of years ago to deal with some ambiguities, we need to look possibly at restructuring that policy and setting it so that we have a clear understanding of what to expect, so going forward people know what's available to them. I would hate to see whether it's an aide or a teacher left out because they're over at Harding and not in daily contact with the people at Brearley who are running graduation, and therefore not in the bullseye, so to speak, for seeing that, hey, this person's kid's graduating. And if they had wanted the opportunity, they missed out on it.
Thanks for bringing that up. I mentioned it on graduation
Right,
night.
that's what I'm saying.
And I think it's just going to lead into a lot of issues.
Yeah, and if you recall when we did it, I mean, this was probably 20-something years ago. Easy. It was in recognition to the people around this table's time and effort that they put in.
Right.
That you recognize that you have that opportunity to do that. Whereas, don't know if we could say that about, say employees.
Right.
They're working.
And whether or
that's
not,
a policy that we should take a look at.
right, whether or not we do, we need to figure it out, address it, talk about it, and decide what we're going to do so that we either alter the policy so it's correct for the future, or stand by the policy, whichever the board as a whole decides to do.
Perfect.
But we want to make sure, if we're going to be inclusive, that all those who fall into that range are made aware that they can be.
Makes good sense.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for new business? Okay, seeing nothing else, we'll take a motion to open to the public.
So move.
Mr. Hayberther, second?
Second.
Tiers? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This time, the meeting is open to the public for comment. The Board of Education sets the limit for the public to speak at a board meeting to 5 minutes per person, unless prior permission has been granted by the board for extended time pursuant to Kenilworth Board of Education Bylaw 0167. If you would like to speak, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Carolyn McCacker, school on North 21st Street. Most of you know that I've been advocating for the girls to have a program where they can choose to play baseball. I'm not eliminating softball, but there are some girls who would probably rather play baseball. And it's interesting that when I talked one-on-one with people, just about everybody would agree with that, At any rate, I've come up to, I'm still advocating for it, and I would like to see it. However, I'm stepping down from being the person who's going, trying to make this happen. So many people agreed with me. I'm sure somebody else will step up. And the reason I'm doing this is because I recently realized that I participated in the sport of judo for 16 years. And I didn't start participating in judo until I was in my early 30s. And I played until I was 50. And that sport did so much for me personally. When I couldn't compete. After I went to a competition when I was 50, and everything about that competition told me, you're done, you're not going to be competing anymore. And so I love the sport so much that I had to just step away from it completely. I couldn't like go to little local senior competitions or stuff like that. So I did. I removed myself completely from that. The reason I didn't start playing judo until I was in my early 30s is I didn't know it existed. And the way I learned that it existed is I went to the Cranford Judo Karate Center to take karate because almost everybody's heard of karate. And my brother said, let's do that. And while I'm watching, while I'm waiting for my karate class to start, I'm watching judo. And so I decided at some point that I wanted to play that sport. But I also decided that I wouldn't give up karate until I made at least a brown belt. So it took me about 3 years to get a brown belt karate. And then I asked the teacher if I could start taking judo, and he said, sure, why not? So then I fell in love with judo, and I played competitive judo from when I was, about 33 until I was 50. So now I have friends who have children, especially like my personal trainer has 2 children. One's not, a boy who's 9 and a girl who's 3. The reason I didn't get started in judo until I was in my 30s is because I didn't know it existed. I want the children that, I don't have any children, but I know children through friends and like my trainer. I want them to be introduced to judo so that they can decide if that's something they want to do. Because I love the sport so much and made such a big impact and difference in my life. So I feel called to go back. I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't know if I'll actually put another, a judo gi on again and help maybe teach a class. I don't know where it's going to go. But I do know that I need to make sure that the children that come into my life, however they do, have the opportunity to know that judo is there and they can participate if they so want. And, I don't know where it's going to go, but at any rate, I'm going to let go of this baseball advocacy because I can't do everything. And I really think somebody will step up because, like I said, when I would talk about it just one-on-one with people, it seemed to me almost 90%, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's good, I think they should, because baseball could become professional. I mean, softball is a good sport, and it's an Olympic sport, but it will never become a professional sport. That's that.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no one else present from the public.
Motion to close?
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? No? All right. So let's move on to our roll call of resolutions. Does anyone have anything they need voted on separately from the resolutions for the list tonight? Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Kenilworth, could you have a roll call on resolutions, please?
Okay, this is for resolutions 1 through 22 on the agenda and the addition of number 23, which is regarding the HIB case that Mr. Jankowitz discussed during his committee report. So it's 1 through 22 on the agenda and number 23 with no exclusions. Viner.
Yes.
Haberthur.
Yes.
Jankowitz.
Yes.
Ladati.
Here. Oh, yes.
Tears.
Here and
Yes. Here and yes.
And Zimmerman.
Yes, he's here, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Motions carry unanimously.
Okay, do we have a need to go into executive session tonight?
Yes, we do.
All right, then can we have a motion to go into exec?
Move.
Okay.
Be it resolved, the Board of Education meet in private session, which shall be excluded, the public shall be excluded, to discuss the topics of potential litigation and student personnel matters, which private discussion is being held pursuant to Section 7B and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters under discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as final decisions and made or voted upon. This will also conclude our meeting, and we are not going to be coming back after closed session. So we could now vote on that. So this is for closed session. Mr. Biner?
Yes.
Haberthur?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Wadati?
Yes.
Tiers?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay, in closed session.
Okay, we're in closed session.